Hello, and welcome to another episode of The End of the Search. This one I call it How a Conscious Person Lives Life. Well, it's based on a question someone asked me, and the question is, Hi Nick, regarding someone who no longer lives in confusion, meaning somebody who's conscious, does that mean spending their days with joy, good humor, and enthusiasm? In other words, expressing only positive qualities, just like the ego when it experiences that? Or are those feelings not necessarily always experienced by an awakened person? Is it a way of being different from duality? And to refine the question, I want to say, are feeling good, happy, eager to live life to the fullest, and ready to take on the world are attributes of the ego, or are they also attributes of the awakened? Again, awakened means conscious. At least this is the way I'm addressing it here. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you the answer that I gave in writing, and then we'll elaborate a bit, because that's a pretty good question given the fact that there's so many ideas of what being conscious means, enlightenment and become enlightened or so, that keeps people in a never-ending loop, chasing a fantasy, overlooking what is obvious, which is what is. So here's what I shared. A conscious person lives a normal life which includes every scenario, sensation, thought, and experience. The difference is that there is no suffering. They are not trapped in the story the mind tries to fabricate about their present experience. There will be times when they laugh wholeheartedly and times when they don't. There will be times when they feel good and times when they don't. There will be times when they feel great enthusiasms and want to conquer the world, and times when they don't. But they don't do things to derive something from them as if they felt incomplete and needed objects or experiences to be happy. It is simply a part of what is happening in their experience. And they enjoy them to the fullest without fantasizing or making anything special out of them. In the same way, when there is pain, it is experienced, but there is no suffering, simply another experience. The human experience is a constant fluctuation between opposites. But life, which is what you are, the underlying essence, remains unchanged. Therefore, a conscious person knows that they are life even while they are playing the role of a quote-unquote separate individual. They simply experience it with a different mindset because they don't believe the content of their mind. Consequently, regardless of what is happening in their world of appearances, they experience what is known as the peace that surpasses all understanding. As A Course in Miracles reminds me, there is a way of living in the world that is not here. Although it seems to be, you do not change appearances, though you smile more frequently. Your forehead is serene, your eyes are quiet. It's like the old Zen, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Nothing is going to change, and yet everything is going to change because the way you're viewing it is going to change. Before you're viewing it from the separate entity, I'm a separate individual, separate from everything and ruled by the fear, when that shift in mentality takes place, you still see the same thing and do the same things, but you kind of see it from a much broader sense of the fact that you are one with everything. So this is a good question because many people, when they embark on this journey, the tendency is to think that they are going to experience enlightenment in the future because they may have preconceived ideas of what enlightenment may look like. They might have heard stories of people saying, I felt that I was one with everything. Others may say, all of a sudden I saw something or whatever. Or whatever the experience may be, is just a hook that the mind uses to say, oh, that is what is to become enlightened. Others may think that you're going to be in bliss forever and life is going to be in a particular way or going to look in a particular way. And that is how we overlook the fact that we are always being, which is where this is all pointing to. When I ask you not to identify with the content of the mind, it's not so that in the future you have an experience. It's simply pointing to what already is, but has been overlooked by bringing all the attention or giving the attention to the content of the mind. That's what in a video that one of these videos, at the end I said, if you don't believe the content of the mind, what's left? Well, congratulations, you're enlightened. Because in reality, again, it's not something that is going to happen in the future, because I said, I believe I said at the beginning of the video, all that does is that it keeps fueling, the belief in a future goal called enlightenment, and paradoxically, that feeds the belief in the seeker. You see? That's what he says, the seeker is the sought. So as long as I believe there's something to go for that is going to look in a particular way, the seeking will continue endlessly, because I'm overlooking constantly what I am. That's why when we use the analogy of the dream, when you're sleeping and you're dreaming, whatever you do in the dream is not going to get you back to the mind, because you are the mind. If anything, is withdrawing the attention from whatever you're doing in the dream and the dream itself, so that the fact that you are the mind becomes obvious. You see? So you will live the life like anybody else, and the forehead is more serene, you smile more often, because when everybody's identified with the content of their mind and reacting to the appearances, and actually reacting to their own thoughts, you're not believing the thoughts, and consequently you see the world differently. See? Everybody seems to be seeing the same scenario, but you are not reacting to it, not because of the scenario, but because you're not reacting to the thoughts, because you know who you are. And this is something that we cannot talk about. I often say that talking about this keeps feeding the belief in a me that needs to talk about this. Once this is pointed to, there's no need to talk about it anymore. Once you found the water, you don't need to talk about where the water is. If you're learning how to drive a vehicle, and you read the books and the manuals and everything, but once you pass the test and you know how to drive the car, the vehicle, you don't need to pick up the book again. All you need to do is just drive. Well, same here. The more is clear that if there's no identification with the content of the mind, I am, that's it. Then you rest in the I am, and now it's a matter of living. And yes, there'll be times you'll laugh a lot, and there'll be times you may not feel like laughing. There'll be pleasure and there will be pain. And there'll be beginnings and there'll be endings. But you, capital Y, which is not human, which is in which all of this, even the seeming human, appear in, you remain. You are pure awareness. The capacity of being aware of all that seems to be taking place in the movement. You see? So look at it this way. Objects will move, absolutely, from here to there, whatever, within the content of this seeming dream. But the space in which they appear don't move. Well, you are that. You are that space. That space is never moving. But the thoughts give the appearance that is moving, because the thought is always evaluating and translating and judging and then this and that or whatever. Without the content of the mind, what remains? And remember, I've always said this, don't answer. Because if you answer the question, you went back to the conceptual mind. I'm just pointing to what is right now. If no thoughts is believed in, what remains? See, when you're comfortable enough to just realize how simple that this is just what is, even when the world of appearances may look in many different ways, even when the body feels in many different ways, even when it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what takes place, you rest in that. You see, once that is fully seen, you'll continue living your life until the last day come, according to the script or the the movie that you're supposed to play. But the difference is that you live in peace. You see, the peace that surpasses all understanding. There's no suffering. All that there is what is, which is prior this you who seem to appear in this world of appearances, while this you as well as the world of appearances seems to appear, and after that seeming you disappears from this seeming world of appearances. And of course the whole world of appearances will disappear as well, because it's all one package. You see, in the dream, when you wake up, it's not like you get out of the dream and wake up but the dream remains. No, the whole thing vanishes. Well, the moment that there's not awareness of the me, the seeming me as a person, everything vanishes. But while there seems to be that appearance, well, there's all these other appearances to help support that belief. So what we don't want to do is now to try to somehow make this human into a superhuman by believing that if I do A, B, or C, I will eventually become enlightened or whatever, because that keeps feeding the very same obstacle, which is the me, that is the centerpiece of this whole play. Is the reference that the mind uses to refers to as a me. But the me we're speaking of here is beyond this seeming me, and is what is right now, what always remains, what has always been, and is completely obvious when there's no identification with the content of the mind, with the thoughts that appear. They will be there and they'll continue to appear, but they appear in you. And that you is where these videos are pointing to. Remember, not you person. It's not like they appear in your head. No. They appear just as this person appears in you. And you are I am. The ever-present non-conceptual beingness. The space-like in which everything seems to appear and disappear. Like the fourth book of the series. I am, in which everything seems to appear and disappear. So that's why in the end, I am. And well, this is the inspiration that came through. I hope it served. And as always, may peace permeate the mind so that love can be extended.